The wind howled like a wounded animal outside the cracked window of that old duplex on Detroit's south side, rattling the glass so hard I thought it would shatter right into my face. Snow whipped sideways, turning the streetlights into blurry ghosts. I clutched my little boy Milo to my chest. 6 years old, cheeks red from the cold, his tiny fingers frozen around the sleeve of my threadbare coat. We were out here because of one broken snow globe. One. And now, the iron gate behind us had slammed shut with a clang that still echoes in my nightmares. Have you ever been thrown out into a blizzard with nothing but a soaked suitcase and a child who's crying because he doesn't understand why Grandma hates us? I have. And let me tell you, that kind of cold doesn't just bite your skin, it sinks into your bones and freezes your soul. My name is Harper Reed. I'm 29, a widow, or at least, that's what the world thinks. And tonight, the world feels like it's ending. Before we continue, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and subscribe to Ageless Bold Stories channel. We're creating a community of people who know that our best chapters can happen at any age. Now, back to the story. 3 years ago, my husband Caleb kissed us goodbye at the airport curb. Red-eye to Seattle, babe. Back in 48 hours. He ruffled Milo's hair, winked at me, and disappeared through the sliding doors. That was the last time I saw him alive, or so I thought. The plane vanished somewhere over Lake Superior. No distress call, no wreckage, just gone. After that, his mother, Mrs. Lorraine Grant, turned into someone I didn't recognize. She owned the duplex, owned the mortgage on my grief, and made sure I paid rent in blood, sweat, and every dime I scraped together at the coffee shop on Greyhound. I scrubbed her floors until my knuckles bled, cooked her pot roasts exactly 22 minutes, handed over my tips every Friday like clockwork. She called me the city curse, said I brought bad luck the day Caleb married a girl from the wrong side of 8 Mile. But tonight she crossed a line even I didn't know existed. Milo had been spinning in the living room, pretending the antique snow globe was a spaceship. One slip. Crash. Glitter and water everywhere. Lorraine's face went purple. "That was from my mother," she screamed. "Out! Both of you! Out!" She grabbed my arm so hard her nails left crescents, dragged me to the door, hurled my ancient suitcase into the snow. Milo wailed. I begged. She slammed the gate. Now here we were, under the flickering neon of the Greyhound station, the wind slicing through us like 1,000 tiny knives. Milo's lips were turning blue. "Mommy, I'm cold," he whispered, and my heart shattered into a million pieces. I pulled him tighter, trying to give him whatever warmth I had left, but I was shaking so hard I could barely hold on. Where do you go when the only home you've known locks you out in a storm? I had $23, a dead phone, and a little boy who needed me to be strong. But God, I wasn't strong. I was breaking. Headlights cut through the blizzard like a blade. A silver Range Rover rolled to a stop right in front of us. Tinted windows. Expensive. Out of place in this part of town. The driver's door opened and a woman stepped out. Tall, chestnut hair twisted into a sleek bun, designer boots crunching the snow. She looked like she belonged on a magazine cover, not here in the freezing dark. I knew that face. Riley Grant. Caleb's little sister. The one who ran away at 17 and never looked back. "Get in, Harper," she said, voice low, urgent. I know what really happened to my brother. My stomach dropped. What did she just say? I didn't move. Couldn't. My feet were frozen to the pavement, my brain screaming trap, but Milo was shivering so hard his teeth chattered like dice in a cup. Riley's eyes, those same stormy gray eyes Caleb had, softened just a fraction. "Your son's gonna freeze if you don't. I'm not my mother. Get in." I scooped Milo up, grabbed the dripping suitcase, and climbed into the warm leather cocoon of her car. The door shut, and for the first time in hours, the wind stopped screaming. Heat blasted from the vents. Milo's head lolled against my chest, exhausted. Riley didn't say another word, just drove. We ended up in a loft in Midtown Detroit, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of place I'd only seen in movies. She carried Milo to a guest room, tucked him under a mountain of blankets, then handed me a mug of cocoa so rich it tasted like forgiveness. "Sit," she said. "We need to talk." I sat. My hands shook so bad the cocoa sloshed over the rim. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, and a recording started playing. Lorraine's voice, sharp as a razor. "We need to be rid of the leeches before they figure it out." Then Harold, Caleb's dad, muttering, "The boy's retirement account clears tomorrow. She'll never know." My blood turned to ice. Riley slid a folder across the coffee table. Bank statements, $180,000 withdrawn from Caleb's account. 2 days before the flight. Signature, Harold Grant. The money? Funneled straight to Lorraine. Invested in crypto. Wiped out in 72 hours. I couldn't breathe. They stole from him? Worse, Riley whispered. "I think they got rid of him." The room spun. I saw Caleb smile at the airport, heard his last "I love you," felt the ghost of his kiss on my forehead. All this time I'd been mourning an accident. But this was murder wrapped in grief. Riley's eyes were wet, but her jaw was steel. "I ran away when I was 17 because I saw the rot in that house. Caleb was the only one who ever protected me. When he vanished, I knew it wasn't random. I've been digging ever since. Bartending, waiting tables, saving every penny for a PI. And Harper?" She leaned in. "I found something Caleb left for you." My heart slammed against my ribs. "What?" "A cedar box. He gave it to you the week before the trip. Said, 'If I don't come back, break it open.'" I remembered. He'd pressed it into my hands like it was the most precious thing in the world. I'd hidden it in the attic crawl space, behind the Christmas decorations Lorraine never used. But the attic was her yoga room now. "You want me to go back?" I asked, voice cracking. Riley nodded. Not as the broken widow. As the woman who's gonna burn their lies to the ground. I looked at Milo's sleeping face through the open door. His lashes fluttered in a dream. For him, I'd walk through fire, so I did the unthinkable. The next morning, I put on my oldest jeans, the ones with the hole in the knee, and walked back to that duplex like a dog with its tail between its legs. Snow still crusted the porch. I knocked. Lorraine opened the door, smug as ever. "Please," I sobbed. Real tears this time. "I can't do this alone. Milo needs a roof. I'll do anything." She let me in. Just like that, because in her mind I was still the weak little nobody she could control. She had no idea I was a wolf in sheep's clothing. For 3 days I played the part, scrubbed her toilets with a toothbrush, folded her laundry into perfect squares, smiled when she called me trash. Every insult fueled me. Every smirk was a countdown. Then Saturday came, her weekly spa day. Harold was at the lodge with his poker buddies. The house was mine. I crept to the attic, heart pounding so loud I swore the walls could hear. The crawlspace door creaked open. Dust choked the air. There, behind the fake tree, was the cedar box. I pried it open with shaking fingers. Empty. Except a Polaroid. Our courthouse wedding. Caleb in his thrift store suit, me in a thrift store dress, both of us grinning like fools. I flipped it over. A tiny USB drive was taped to the back, hidden under the white border. My hands went numb. This was it. Whatever Caleb couldn't say out loud, he'd left here. For me. But then, tires on gravel. Lorraine's SUV. She was back early. Panic clawed my throat. I shoved the USB in my bra, grabbed the box, and think, Harper, think. I smashed the attic window with the heel of my boot. Glass rained down. I screamed, "Burglars! Lorraine, help!" Footsteps thundered up the stairs. She burst in, saw the broken window, the open crawl space, the empty box on the floor. Her eyes narrowed. "What the hell?" "I heard noises," I gasped, fake sobbing. "Someone ran when I screamed." She bought it. Barely. I slipped out that night with a lie about checking on Milo at a friend's. Drove straight to Riley's loft, plugged the USB into her laptop. A single folder. Proof. The first video loaded. Caleb in his home office, arguing with a man I'd never seen. Slick suit, shark smile. "Give me the Riverwalk blueprints, Grant, or your family pays." My stomach lurched. Riverwalk renewal. Caleb's dream project. Eco condos on Detroit's waterfront. He'd worked nights for months. More videos, threats, deadlines. Then the final clip. Harold, red-faced, shoving a duffel bag at Caleb. "Take the money, disappear. It's the only way." I couldn't watch anymore. I was sobbing so hard Riley had to pause it. But the real twist? The last file. A letter from Caleb. "Harper, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. They're coming for me. Trust no one in my family, not even Riley. There's a second drive, under the desk. Get it. Run. I love you. Always." Riley went white. He thinks I betrayed him?" I stared at her. The sister who'd just saved us. The only ally I had. What if Caleb was right? What if the person sitting across from me was part of the lie? To be continued. Hey, beautiful souls, if you're still here, thank you. This story rips me open every time I tell it. What would you have done in that blizzard? Would you have gone back? Type, "I'd fight" or "I'd run" in the comments. I read every single one, and if Harper's pain hit you in the chest like it's hitting me right now, smash that like button. Share this with someone who needs to know they're not alone in the dark. Hit subscribe and tap the bell, because tomorrow night, we're cracking open that second drive. And trust me, you're not ready for what's on it. See you then. Stay strong. I couldn't stop shaking, not from the cold anymore, from the words glowing on Riley's laptop screen. Trust no one in my family, not even Riley. Caleb wrote that. My Caleb. The man who used to trace hearts on my back when nightmares woke me at 3 a.m. The man who swore he'd never leave me. And now his ghost was telling me the only person who'd pulled me out of a blizzard might be the knife in the dark. Riley sat across from me, eyes red, lower lip trembling. "Harper, I swear on Milo's life, I didn't know. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the seed was planted and it was growing thorns." She wiped her face with the sleeve of her cashmere sweater. "There's a second drive," he said under the desk. "We have to go back." Back. To the duplex that smelled like bleach and betrayal, where Lorraine was probably still patting herself on the back for taking in the poor widow. I laughed. Sharp, ugly, half hysterical. "You want me to waltz in there again? After the fake burglary? She'll smell the setup from a mile away." Riley leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Not you. Us. We staged something bigger. Something she'll never see coming." That's when she told me about Big Pete. Local loan shark. 6'5", face like a gravel road. Lorraine and Harold had been borrowing from him for years. Crypto losses, poker debts, you name it. Riley had overheard them on the phone, begging for another extension. "We tip Pete off," she said. "Tell him the Grants just cashed a fat insurance check from Caleb's death. He'll send muscle. In the chaos, we slip in, grab the drive, slip out." It sounded insane. It was insane. But insane was all I had left. I looked at Milo, asleep on Riley's couch, thumb in his mouth like he was 3 again. For him, I'd rob a bank. A loan shark's distraction? Piece of cake. We spent the next 48 hours planning like we were prepping for war. Riley forged a fake payout letter, official-looking, Detroit City stamp and everything. She dropped it in Pete's mailbox with a burner phone note. Cash in the safe behind the bookshelf. Tonight or never. I practiced my lines in the mirror until I could cry on cue. Thursday night, 8 below zero. Snow squeaking under tires. Big Pete took the bait. I watched from the alley behind the duplex, heart jackhammering. 2 goons in ski masks kicked in the front door like it was cardboard. Lorraine's scream pierced the night. Hi, animal. Harold shouted something about the safe. That was my cue. I slipped through the back door I'd left unlatched that morning. The house reeked of panic and burnt coffee. I tiptoed past the kitchen, Lorraine on her knees, stuffing cash into a duffel while one thug loomed over her. Up the stairs, Caleb's old study. The one Lorraine turned into her Zen den. The desk was still there, solid oak, scarred from years of his late-night sketches. I dropped to my knees, reached under the center drawer. My fingers brushed cold metal, tape, a microdrive. I had it. But then, footsteps. Heavy. Not the goons. The study door creaked open. Vincent Crowe stood there in a camel hair coat, snow melting off his Italian loafers. The developer from the video. The shark. He smiled like he'd been expecting me. Looking for this? He held up a gun, small, black, steady. My blood turned to slush. USB, he said. Now. I stood slowly, drive pinched between my fingers. You killed him. Vincent shrugged. Business, sweetheart. Caleb got sentimental about saving the riverfront. I offered a fair price. He wanted to play hero. Fair price. My husband's life for condos. Rage tasted metallic on my tongue. Behind him, downstairs, Lorraine was still shrieking. The goons were laughing. I scanned the room. Floor lamp, brass base. Heavy. Vincent stepped closer. Hand it over, and I let you walk. For the kid. Liar. I flicked my wrist, let the drive slide down my sleeve into my palm. Then I lunged, grabbed the lamp, swung it like a baseball bat. The bulb exploded in a shower of sparks. Darkness swallowed the room. Vincent cursed. A gunshot. Crack. Splintered the bookshelf behind me. I dove headfirst out the window. Glass sliced my forearm. Cold air punched my lungs. I landed in a snowdrift, rolled, scrambled up. Headlights flared at the end of the alley. Riley's Range Rover. She threw the passenger door open. Get in! I dove inside. She floored it. Tires spun, then caught. We fishtailed onto the street as another gunshot shattered the rear window. I clutched the microdrive to my chest like a heartbeat. Riley's hands shook on the wheel. You okay? Define okay. We didn't stop until we hit the loft, slammed the door, deadbolted it. I plugged the drive into her laptop with bloody fingers, one audio file, one encrypted text. I hit play. Caleb's voice. Hoarse, exhausted, but alive. Harper, if you're hearing this, they've got me. Vincent's men. They faked the crash. I'm in a fishing lodge, UP near Munising. Coordinates in the text file. Tell no one. Not mom, not dad, not... A pause. A shaky breath. Not Riley. She lost her phone 2 weeks ago. They cloned it. They know everything. Riley made a sound like a wounded deer. The call cut off with a metallic clang. I opened the text file. Coordinates. A pin dropped on a satellite map. Middle of nowhere. Lake Superior shoreline. Riley stared at the screen. He thinks I sold him out. I wanted to hug her. Wanted to scream at her. Wanted to wake up from this nightmare. Instead, I asked the only question that mattered. Is he still alive? The coordinates blinked, mocking us. What would you do, friend? Your husband's voice, 3 years silent, suddenly whispering from a speaker, telling you he's breathing, bleeding, waiting. But the one person who's been your lifeline might be the reason he's chained in a basement. I looked at Riley. She looked at me. The drive in my hand felt heavier than the world. Tomorrow night, we're driving north. Into the ice. Into the dark. But tonight I'm asking you, if the sister who saved your child was also the crack in the dam that drowned your husband, could you still sit in the same car with her? Type, trust her. Or, run alone, in the comments. I need to know I'm not crazy. Smash that like if your heart's pounding like mine. Share this with someone who knows what it's like to love the wrong person. Subscribe. Tap the bell. Because tomorrow, we're cracking open that lodge door, and whatever's on the other side is gonna break us all over again. See you on the ice. The coordinates blinked like a dying star. Munising, Upper Peninsula, a fishing lodge rotting on the edge of Lake Superior. That's where my husband had been breathing, for 3 years, while I folded Lorraine's laundry and cried myself to sleep. Riley wouldn't look at me. She kept wiping her eyes with the heel of her hand, smearing mascara across her cheek like war paint. I didn't know they cloned my phone, Harper. I swear on everything. Her voice cracked on everything. I wanted to believe her. I needed to. Because the alternative was driving 6 hours north with a stranger who might still be wearing the enemy's colors. I stared at the succulent on Riley's windowsill. Caleb's birthday gift to me the year Milo turned 3. A tiny thing in a chipped coffee mug that said, "World's okayest mom." He'd grinned when he handed it over. "Resilient like you, babe, it'll outlive us both." I'd laughed, watered it every Sunday, never noticed the fake spike. Until now. I twisted the plastic thorn. It unscrewed with a soft click. Inside, a GPS beacon no bigger than a dime, pulsing faint green. Still transmitting, still alive. Riley's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She put it on speaker. A woman's voice, syrupy with fake concern. "Miss Grant? Marquette General. Your mother was in a car accident on M28. She's asking for you. Come quickly." Click. We looked at each other. Trap. Capital T. Neon lights. Lorraine didn't drive in snow unless it was to brag at the country club. They were hurting us. But the beacon was singing, and Caleb was waiting. I made the call I swore I'd never make. Mason Holt, Caleb's old Navy buddy, 6'4", voice like gravel, now runs private security out of Traverse City. I hadn't spoken to him since the memorial. He picked up on the first ring. "Mason, it's Harper." A beat of silence, then, "Tell me where." I sent the coordinates. "Bring friends," I said. "The kind who don't ask questions. Copy, 2 Suburbans, 6 shooters, ETA 5 hours, stay alive." We hit the road at midnight, 2 black Suburbans behind us like shadows. Riley drove the Rover. I rode shotgun, Milo safe with Mason's wife back in Detroit. Snow lashed the windshield. The wipers groaned. Every mile felt like a year. Riley finally spoke. "If he hates me when we get there, I'll step aside. I just want him breathing." I didn't answer. Couldn't. My throat was raw from screaming at God for 3 years. We reached the lodge at 4:47 a.m., a hulking skeleton of cedar and stone, half swallowed by pines. Ice glazed the windows. Smoke curled from a single chimney. Mason's drone buzzed overhead. Thermal feed on his tablet. 6 heat signatures, 2 outside, 4 inside, 1 in the basement, barely flickering. Mason's voice in my earpiece. "Front breach in 60, you take the cliff. Riley's your shadow, move." The cliff drop was sheer ice. I clipped into the rope Mason's guy tossed down, boots scraping for purchase. Riley followed, teeth chattering but steady. We spidered along the rock face, wind screaming like a banshee. Below us, Lake Superior growled black and endless. Diversion hit like clockwork, flashbangs, gunfire. The front door exploded inward, guards shouted, boots pounded. We slipped through a busted basement window. The air down there was thick, mold, blood, despair. A single bulb swung from the ceiling. And there he was, Caleb, chained to a radiator like an animal, beard to his chest, eyes sunken, but alive. He lifted his head. Those gray eyes locked on mine. Harper? A whisper. A prayer. Riley made a broken sound behind me. She was gagged in the corner, wrists zip-tied, face bruised. Vincent Crowe stood over Harold, pistol-whipping him across the cheek. Lorraine hovered nearby, clutching pearls, fake sobbing. "You said no one would find us," she hissed at Vincent. Vincent spun, gun rising. "Well, well, the widow and the prodigal." He kicked Harold. "Your family's a real disappointment." Caleb's voice rasped. "Let them go. You have me." Vincent laughed. "I have plans, now." Standoff. Mason's team upstairs, shouts, thuds. Vincent's last guard barricaded the stairwell. He wanted the drives. All of them. "Slide 'em over," he snarled, "or I start with the sister." I had a decoy SSD in my pocket. Mason's tech guy whipped it up in the Suburban. Fake files. Real weight. I tossed it across the concrete. It skittered to Vincent's feet. He bent to grab it. That's when the window shattered. A single shot, clean. Surgical. Vincent's right hand exploded in red. The gun clattered. He screamed, clutching the stump. Mason's sniper, perched on the cliff, had threaded the needle through a 2-inch gap in the boards. State troopers poured in like a dam breaking. Vincent on his knees. Harold and Lorraine cuffed, still blubbering. Riley freed, sobbing into my shoulder. And Caleb. They cut the chains. He collapsed into my arms, skin and bones, but warm, breathing. "Thought I'd never smell your hair again," he whispered into my neck. I buried my face in his beard and cried like a child. Dawn broke over the frozen lake as they carried him out on a stretcher. Pink light on the ice. Gulls screaming overhead. Riley walked beside us, holding Caleb's hand like she was afraid he'd vanish. He squeezed her fingers. "I was wrong about you, kid. I'm sorry." She just nodded, tears freezing on her lashes. Vincent got life. Harold and Lorraine, 25 each. The Riverwalk project. Seized. Turned public. Caleb's name on the dedication plaque. A year later, you'll find us on Belle Isle at sunset. Milo chasing ducks. Caleb sketching new plans on a napkin. Riley and Mason, yeah, that happened. Arguing over baby names. The succulent sits on our kitchen counter. Still fake spiked. Still thriving. Some nights I wake up reaching for him, terrified it was a dream. But he's there. Always. Whispering, "I'm here, Harp. We made it." The storm's over. The ice melted. And for the first time in forever, I believe in sunrise. That's the end of our story, sweet friends. But it's not the end of yours. If you've ever been betrayed by the people who were supposed to love you most, if you've clawed your way out of the dark with nothing but grit and a prayer, type, "I survived." In the comments. I'll be reading every one with tears in my eyes. Smash that like button if Harper's fight gave you goosebumps. Share this with the warrior in your life who needs to know they're not alone. This was a 3-part series, but the channel's just getting started. Hit subscribe, tap the bell. Because next week, a brand new story. Same tears, bigger twists. Thank you for holding my hand through the blizzard. See you on the other side of the ice. Love always, Harper.